Come into this place with your whole self, the parts that are raw and exposed, the part that is beaming with joy, the part that is seeking the truth, the new, the possibility. Come into this place. Open your heart, lay down your burden, lift up your hope for something new to happen. Come into this place with fellow travelers on the journey. Some faces new and others familiar, and all welcoming you here now to this moment. Come, let us worship together. That was by Margaret Weiss. Diane will light our chalice this morning here in the sanctuary. Those of you at home are invited to light your own chalice now. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lit the flame within us and the community. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing with us as big and loud as you like. Make it a joyous experience. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn, Just as Long as I Have Breath, number 6.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I lead each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
That was pretty. Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We're glad you joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and Chumash indigenous peoples historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions in our pulpit. We invite, speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds, as well as community leaders to speak in our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU 7 principles and the newly adopted UU 6 values: justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. Today's service centers around the second principle. We affirm and promote justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. My name is Dolores Miera, and I am your worship associate for this morning's service. I would like to extend a special welcome to today's guests and visitors. We're glad you've joined us this morning. If you wish, please raise your hand, and if you would like to introduce yourself or your guest. Yeah. Welcome. Yeah. Our hearts are with you. If you're not on the mailing list, you don't want to stand and say hi. Okay. If you are not on the mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all of our activities. Members and friends, please check out what's happening. The e-blast sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up to date with our latest news. If you wish to see this or any of the past Zoom services, the recordings can be found on the UUCC website and on Facebook. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now sing the affirmation.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help, and to help, and to help one another.
We set aside this time for brief announcements that will be of interest to our community and friends. Please be succinct when announcing upcoming events or updates. If you have an announcement, please raise your hand, and when Andy or I call on you, come up to the podium or unmute yourself, then speak. And realize if you come up to the podium, there's a step right there. Okay. For short people. Okay.
Good morning. Morning. Quick announcement. The October 12th potluck is set back to the 19th. I've corrected it on the board, but just so you know, won't be October 12th. 1 week later, Saturday, October 19th at my house. And the reason it's set back is on October 12th, the Cambria Neighbors Club is having their annual Arts and Crafts Fair at the Lodge. If you've never been, come check it out. It's only artists with personal art and crafts, nothing, no resale. It's quite a cool event. I'll be working there, so that's why I had to cancel. So don't go to my house on the 12th. No one will be there. No, okay.
Morning. I'm Andy Fagan. I have 3 announcements. First one is pretty easy. This Monday, tomorrow, the men's group will be meeting here in the sanctuary at 10 a.m. and by Zoom. I'll send out a link to that. Second announcement is this Wednesday, being the second Wednesday of the month, our TED Talk discussion group will be meeting online. 4 p.m. For that, it goes till 5:15. We have great discussions after watching what is usually a 15 or so minute TED Talk. Haven't chosen it yet, but it'll be great, I promise. And that's Wednesday at 4 o'clock on Zoom only. Don't come here, you'll be in the dark. But I'll send out a link about that. And then thirdly, I've been asked to just acknowledge the Jewish holidays. 2 weeks ago, Susan Landau spoke of reflection and gratitude as being part of the autumnal season. In a similar way, for the people who follow the Jewish tradition, the period from Rosh Hashanah, which took place this past week, to Yom Kippur, which begins at sundown this coming Friday, is known as the 10 Days of Repentance, celebrating the Jewish New Year. The 10 Days of Repentance are seen as an opportunity for change. Rosh Hashanah functions for the majority of people as the opening of a trial that extends until Yom Kippur. It's an unusual trial. Most trials are intended to determine responsibility for past deeds. This one, however, has an added dimension, determining what can be done about future deeds. During these days, Jewish people seek to forgive themselves, representing the wrongs they may have committed in the past year. The verdict is determined by both their attitude toward their misdeeds and by their attempts to rectify them by changing themselves. If we inform Unitarian Universalism with Jewish understanding of forgiveness, we gain invaluable perspective. What does it mean to us as liberal people of faith if we say that we cannot live or act alone, accountable only to ourselves? It means living into our principles, affirming and promoting the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, and respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. What do we gain when we believe that we each hold each other's lives and futures in our hands? It means a more meaningful life. It means truer and deeper community is available to us all. It means living with greater closeness and honor with those we love. And I should have given credit to the UUA website and its articles about the high holidays, as well as Wikipedia, and a few words of my own. Thank you.
So I'm Sue Davis, and the head of the Operations Committee, which will be meeting on Zoom at 6 p.m. this Thursday night. We take care of all the activities that go on here, so we're going to be talking about fundraising and game night and cleanup day. So if you need a link, it's on Zoom only, contact me and I'll send you a link and become involved with us, okay? Thank you.
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see you. The Open Studios Art Tour is the following 2 weekends, next one and the one after. So I'll miss seeing you. I am the only artist in Cambria doing this year, and I'll be open Saturday and Sunday, the 12th and 13th, and the 19th and 20th from 10 to 5. So please stop by. And also 6 of my paintings will be on view at Edna Contemporary Art in Slough through October 24th. And I'll leave a few of these catalogs over there in case you're interested, but I hope to see you sometime. It's at my house. Yeah, it's 1331 Burton. You could probably find it on our website, but it's in here. No, you can't. Oh, well, anyway, it's in here if you need it.
We have the women's group meeting tomorrow at, not at the same time as the men's group, but a little later at 2 o'clock. And we'd like to invite anybody who hasn't been to come and join us. It's a good time to attend and see what it's all about, and hopefully you'll continue to come. And we have a serious group of women who continue to come each time, and it's very rich and very connecting in terms of with one another. Hope you can come. Tomorrow at 2, here.
The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but are also deeply felt in this community. The first reading is by Andrew W.K. from the Village Voice, February 25th, 2015. Each of us has a melody that is meant to be heard loud and clear. Our purpose in life is to transcend all the aspects of ourselves and our surroundings that seek to block out or interfere with the pure and uninhibited singing of this music inside us. The degree to which we are truly successful as humans is the degree to which we have mastered the art of being one and the same with our own song, so that it's not even a separate melody we're singing, but rather we are the melody itself. Let us enter a place of peace and serenity where you are one with your spiritual being. Be at peace within your space, where the absence of all that is temporal is its most cherished gift. Let us enter the stillness. When love and compassion are present in us and we send them outward, then that is truly prayer. Further, in sending love outward, we may notice a change in our own heart. The second reading is from Brené Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection. Owning our story can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. Embracing our vulnerabilities is risky, but not nearly as dangerous as giving up on love and belonging and joy, the experiences that make us the most vulnerable. Only when we are brave enough to explore the darkness will we discover the infinite power of our light. Please stand in body or spirit and sing There Is More Love Somewhere, number 95.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. There is more joy somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more joy somewhere.
Today's talk is titled Coming Out Isn't Just for the LGBTQ plus community, to be delivered by Jamie Woolf. Jamie is a retired journalist who spent 32 years writing for the Salt Lake Tribune in Salt Lake City, Utah. Most of that time, she covered environmental issues. She received a Knight International Press Fellowship in 1998 and spent 6 months teaching journalism in Ecuador. She also was a visiting lecturer at Princeton University in 2001. Since moving to SLO some 16 years ago, she has been president of the Unitarian Universalist SLO Board of Trustees, a member of the SLO Police Advisory Committee, chair of the SLO Cities Bicycle Advisory Committee, a state park docent at the Pismo Beach Monarch Grove, and a volunteer teacher of English as a second language. Last year, she was elected to the board of Planned Parenthood, California Central Coast. She is a proud transgender woman who served as chair of Trans Central Coast from 2018 to 2022. Trans Central Coast is a group that supports transgender and other gender diverse people in San Luis Obispo County. She is married to Sharon Emerson and, as you'll hear later, has a son and grandson who live in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Jamie. Okay, let's get rid of this. Hand that off to Andy. There we go. Okay, come on up with your computer. Go ahead. Let's see if I can help you with anything there.
That's perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you today. I'm going to start this morning with one of the most terrifying things I've faced in my life, something that took all of my courage to confront. That was telling my son, Peter, that I'm transgender. He lives in Ann Arbor, Michigan, with his wife and a really cute 13-year-old son, my only grandchild. For years, I wanted to tell him I was trans during his regular visits to SLO or mine to Michigan. I'd tell him about all the LGBTQ plus people I know and watch carefully for his response. He always seemed fine, sort of neutral, but I just never had the courage to take the next step and tell him the truth about me. I was afraid of losing my son and the great relationship we developed over the years. I knew his politics were progressive, and he lives in a very liberal university town. But what if he rejected me? What if he was fine with the idea of transgender people in general, but not a transgender parent? So I got more serious about telling him while I was attending a transgender support group. The group encouraged me to act. They offered lots of ideas and suggestions. And after a couple of meetings, we hatched a convoluted plan that could only have been created by a group. So the plan was this. Number one, we decided I should write a long and detailed history of my gender journey that would answer most of his questions, but I shouldn't send it just yet. Number two, when the time was right, I would send him an email and tell him I wanted to talk about something important. And I'd make clear that I didn't have some awful disease or something, it was just something else. Number three, I would then call him and tell him I'm transgender and provide few details other than to tell him to check his email once again. Then number four, I'd email him that long explanation. And then finally, number five, I'd wait for his call and answer his questions. So I got it all ready, but of course, I continued to put it off. I was just too frightened of what might happen if he said anything insulting or just hung up on me. Finally, I gathered up my courage and I sent the first email saying I wanted to talk. He wrote back immediately and said he was around and available. So the moment of truth had arrived and I made the call. Peter, I said, I need to tell you something really important about me. And after I tell you, I'm going to hang up and send you an email and all the details. Then we can talk afterwards. Okay, he said nervously. Then I blurted it out. I'm transgender. There was what felt like an hour of silence on the phone as he processed this totally unexpected information. Actually, it was probably only 30 seconds, maybe a minute, but it felt like forever. All I could do was sit in terror, wondering how he would take the news. Finally, he said one word. One word I had never imagined in all my predictions, nightmares, fantasies about this conversation. He said, cool. I was confused, of course, but feeling optimistic. So I said I'd email him the information and then I'd call him back later. When we spoke again, he asked a lot of questions and seemed very interested in my transition. And then he came out to me. He said he'd been wanting to tell me for years that he was bisexual, had an open marriage, and a steady boyfriend. He said all my talk about knowing and working with LGBTQ plus people almost convinced him to come out to me earlier, but he chickened out too. That day, our relationship deepened in ways neither of us could have ever imagined. Our most important secrets were out, and we now talk regularly about our journeys. By the way, I'm sharing this information with his permission. He is now very much out about his sexual orientation and later decided he was gay rather than bisexual. So stories like this have been the most surprising part of my coming out process. Once I allowed myself to be vulnerable and honest about my gender identity, I heard all sorts of private and sensitive information from friends and family. One talked about the sexual abuse he suffered as a child. Another talked about her persistent thoughts of transitioning to become a male. I heard about drug problems, family conflicts, and mental health issues, all unrelated to my transition. I learned that when I dropped my guard and made myself vulnerable, many of them did too. And the results frequently were amazing. Now, it wasn't all sweetness and celebration, of course. One old friend was convinced I was playing a very bad joke on her. Another old friend nervously told me, it would be fine with me if we never talk about this again. No one was openly hostile, but a couple of friendships cooled considerably after I shared the news. So I'm a fan of Brené Brown, the author and researcher who studies courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy. In our second reading, she wrote, "Owning our story can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. Embracing our vulnerabilities is risky, but not nearly as dangerous as giving up on love and belonging and joy, the experiences that make us the most vulnerable. Only when we are brave enough to explore the darkness will we discover the infinite power of our light." Her TED Talk, one you should try next week, I think, is entitled "The Power of Vulnerability," dives into this topic. It has been viewed more than 66 million times and translated into 52 languages. So during my coming out period, I listened to that TED Talk at least a dozen times. Whenever I started to panic and question whether it really was necessary to share this very personal information, I'd listen again and trust her when she states that vulnerability is the only route to love and belonging and joy. She was right. So I'm talking about coming out today because next Friday, October 11th, is National Coming Out Day, a day celebrated each year since 1988 to support lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in coming out of the closet and talking about their sexual orientation or gender identity. I want to make one thing clear: no one is required to come out. National Coming Out Day was established to support people who want to and can safely come out. Timing of that decision and the number of people you come out to are up to you. For me, this process took decades. And each October 2nd, 11th, I'd ask myself, is this the year? Took a long time. As I've watched the coming out process transform my life and the lives of so many of my friends, I've wondered why a similar day isn't available for the rest of you. You may not be gay or trans, but I believe most of us are hiding something in our closets. Things we're nervous about sharing with the rest of the world. Things that prevent us from being our authentic selves. Coming out doesn't mean we're required to make those uncomfortable parts of ourselves the central focus of our lives, but they are part of us. When we keep those parts hidden, it can feel like we're living in an Instagram world where all our photos are neatly cropped and filtered to make us look perfect. And our posts only talk about the amazing vacation we just took or the fabulous dinner we ate last night. This carefully curated version of our lives isn't true and doesn't encourage others to share their own authentic, less than perfect selves. Quite the opposite. Our filters encourage others to apply their own filters, and pretty soon, it's impossible to know who any of us really are. The challenge of coming out is achieving a balance between two good and essential things. First is privacy, the recognition that each of us has a right to a private life and can choose what we want to share. The other side of the coin is the knowledge that telling our truth can help us make connections with others and even change the world. There are lots of reasons to haul this stuff out of our closets. Two of the most frequently cited are psychological health and politics. I already mentioned the biggest psychological benefit for me, the chance to be authentic. When people liked the old me, I knew they liked the false image I was portraying. I always wondered, would they still like me if they knew who I really was? Thankfully, in most cases, the answer was yes. Another big reason for coming out is political. It was politics that led Harvey Milk to make some of the loudest and most famous calls for the LGBTQ community to come out. When elected to the San Francisco Board of Supervisors in 1977, Milk was the first openly gay man to be elected to public office in California. On June 25th, 1978, he spoke at the Gay Freedom Day parade in San Francisco before a crowd estimated at between 250,000 and 375,000 people. He warned about the lies and myths being told by leaders of an anti-gay movement that then spreading across the nation. He asked the crowd, "Gay brothers and sisters, what are you going to do about it? You must come out. Come out to your parents. I know it's hard and will hurt them, but think about how they will hurt you in the voting booth. Come out to your relatives. I know that is hard and will upset them, but think how they will upset you in the voting booth. Come out to your friends, if indeed they are your friends. Come out to your neighbors, to your fellow workers, to the people who work where you eat and shop. Come out only to the people you know and who know you, not to anyone else. But once and for all, break down the myths, destroy the lies and distortions for your sake, for their sake." So things are much better for gay and lesbian people today, but transgender people are facing a wave of discrimination in the form of literally hundreds of hateful laws based on fears and unfounded stereotypes. Unfortunately, many of those laws are aimed at preventing young transgender and non-binary people from expressing their true gender identity. One of the many reasons I came out was to let my friends and family know a transgender person and understand that anti-trans laws like these are harming someone they love and care about. Some members of the queer community aren't the only ones being called to come out for political reasons. The Me Too movement is an excellent example of how women and some men are standing up against sexual violence and discrimination. It's estimated that 1 in 6 American women have been the victim of an attempted or completed rape in their lifetime. But most of them aren't talking about it for obvious reasons. It's private. It can be a horribly painful memory. It can feel shameful and dirty. But silence in the face of violence has allowed sexual predators to keep committing crimes for years without facing consequences. That started to change in 2006 when a group of sexual assault survivors decided to come out about the violence they experienced and face their attackers together. It's grown into a worldwide movement of people sharing their stories and refusing to suffer in silence. Abortion is another example. It is estimated that 1 in 4 women in America has had an abortion, but most never talk about it. That silence made it easier for anti-abortion activists and the US Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade. Women who are able to discuss it are being asked to come out about their experience and demonstrate that abortion isn't dangerous and psychologically damaging as those in the anti-abortion movement claim. It's much harder to oppose abortion when you realize your grandmother, wife, mother, aunt, niece, or daughter has wrestled with this decision and decided abortion was right for her. Physical illness is another thing we often hide in our closets. A friend of mine said she waited months before telling anyone outside her immediate family that she had a life-threatening cancer. She feared that once she announced it, everyone would treat her differently. And we probably did, at least for a while. It was her choice when and how to share this information, but keeping it secret meant she wasn't receiving the support she was craving from her friends. But she came out when she was ready. Mental illness, such as depression, is another of the things we often hide in our closets. Criminal records, of course, eating disorders, alcoholism, drug abuse. We don't talk about these things either. Even more routine shame can crowd our closets. A lie you once told a friend and have regretted ever since. A test where you might just have cheated a little bit. Infidelity in an otherwise committed relationship. Taking something that wasn't yours. Even seemingly positive things can end up hidden in that closet. A friend I know won a prestigious MacArthur Fellowship, the so-called MacArthur Genius Award, for her scientific research. But she's reluctant to tell anyone about it because she doesn't think she really deserved it. Also, she doesn't want people expecting her to sound brilliant all the time and be disappointed when they realize she's just an ordinary person. And vulnerability is often essential to healthy relationships. After dating a few months and feeling optimistic about a relationship, someone needs to be the first to say, I love you. It's frightening because the other person just might not feel the same. So maybe this October 11th, we all can think a little about what we're hiding in our closets that keeps us from being honest and authentic. We don't need to fling open the closet door and display to the world all the things we have hidden. But perhaps this year, or next, or the next, or the next, we can find the courage to share one of our secrets with a trusted friend and begin the process of cleaning out our crowded closets. As Andrew W.K. said in the first reading, each of us has a melody that is meant to be heard loud and clear. Our purpose in life is to transcend all the aspects of ourselves and our surroundings that seek to block out or interfere with the pure and uninhibited singing of this music inside us. May we all discover that pure and an uninhibited singing within us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie. That was really nice. The morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember, we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you're viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you. Our thanks for all gifts given and received for the work of this community. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the closing hymn, For All That Is Our Life, number 128.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build a common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build a common good and make our own days glad.
As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in. Please extinguish your chalice at home now. Okay, let's form a circle and join hands, and our closing words from Jamie.
Our closing words today are from Gene Olson, called Go Boldly. May you be brave enough to expose your aching woundedness and reveal your vulnerability. May you speak your deepest truths, knowing that they will change as you do. May you sing the music within you, composing your own melody, playing your song with all your heart. May you draw, paint, sculpt, and sew, showing the world your vision. May you write letters, poetry, biography, slogans, graffiti, the great novel, laying bare your words to love and hate. May you love even though your heart breaks again and again and until the end of your days. May your life be filled with possibilities and courage.
Say hi.
Excellent. That was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Presentation.